"You're outdated. We're done here," the CEO hissed. I nodded once. Calm, respectful, understood. I remember thinking how funny timing can be, because that was the exact second the retirement trust finalized its vote, the exact second my father's world, all their worlds, started to collapse. But that came later. This confession starts 3 weeks earlier, in my childhood living room, with my suitcase on the floor and my father's fingers shaking in my face. "Go live in the streets," my dad yelled. "You're a useless failure." My mother didn't stop him. She never did. She just folded her arms, eyes cold, like she was already erasing me. I smiled, not because it didn't hurt, because I knew something they didn't. I picked up my suitcase and walked out of the house I helped pay for, while my bank account quietly generated more money in a day than my father had ever earned in a year. They weren't always like this, or maybe they were and I just refused to see it. Growing up, love in our house was conditional. Grades, obedience, appearances. I learned early that approval was a currency, and I was always short on it. When I started my tech consultancy, they laughed. When I dropped out of the family business, they called it rebellion. When I stopped explaining myself, they labeled it failure. I kept showing up. Birthdays, dinners, emergencies. I paid their bills quietly, fixed their problems silently. They never asked how I was doing, they just assumed I wasn't. That assumption became their mistake. The betrayal didn't explode, it whispered. I overheard my father on a call one night, talking about restructuring his assets, mentioning my name like a liability, talking about removing me from the trust I had helped grow, money I had legally funneled, optimized, multiplied. That's when the pain hardened. I didn't confront them, I started listening. Silence is powerful when paired with preparation. I audited everything, every transfer, every signature, every loophole they thought I wouldn't notice. I hired lawyers they would never meet, and accountants who didn't blink at seven-figure numbers. I moved my income streams offshore, legally. I consolidated voting shares into a retirement trust, my trust, using provisions my father himself had approved years ago, assuming I was too stupid to understand them. I let them believe I was drowning. I let them throw me out. 3 weeks passed, 3 weeks of them congratulating themselves. Monday morning came dressed like any other. I walked into the boardroom of the company my father worshipped, the same company where the CEO had just fired me for being outdated. The board looked confused, annoyed. Then the trust representative spoke. "The retirement trust has activated its voting rights." Silence. "Effective immediately, we're calling an emergency vote." Someone laughed nervously. "And who controls the trust?" The representative looked at me. "Mr. owns 76% of the shares." That's when the CEO went pale. That's when my father, watching remotely, finally understood. The CEO tried to backpedal, apologies, buzzwords. Too late. The vote passed in under 10 minutes. He was fired by the man he had just dismissed. My father called me immediately. Missed call. Another. When I finally answered, he didn't yell. He whispered, "What did you do?" I kept my voice even. I adapted. The company restructured. Leadership changed. The family accounts were frozen pending investigation. Everything they thought they controlled was suddenly not theirs. My mother showed up at my apartment that night, crying, regretful, saying my name like it was fragile. I didn't invite her in. I didn't do this for revenge. I did it for alignment. They taught me that power belongs to those who plan quietly. I just listened better than they thought I could. I still earn $15 million a year. They still think money is the point. It isn't. The point is this. They threw me out, believing I was nothing. 3 weeks later, they learned they had been living inside my system the entire time. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't beg. I smiled, and I walked away again, this time owning the ground beneath my feet.